No matter where you are, the US or Cuba, the solution to inequality remains the same. It must be a revolution, and it must be live. Even in this new millennium, there are blatant examples of oppression. The latest example reflects upon US sanctions towards Cuba, and though a mere reminder that liberation is a continual battle, the question remains the same. When will we see a monumental move towards equality for all? In the following clips, you'll gain much insight. This video is brought to you by ParadiseExit.com.
This is a very historic event. I don't think you appreciate all the work that's gone into what's about to happen. It's been 8 years since we've had the opportunity to talk face-to-face at Howard University campus with people from Cuba.
First, just introduce yourself and tell us why you chose to invite these students over to Howard and why it was so important to hear their stories.
Well, first of all, I'm Professor Keto Swan of Howard University in the Department of History. It wasn't myself as an individual that invited these students to the United States. It actually was a larger contingent that invited these students, not just at Howard University, but they've also been to Atlanta and they've been to other areas inside the United States to talk about Cuba's medical program, what it's like to be a student in Cuba, and what it's like to be a young person in Cuba.
Anibal and Yanevis asked me to say something. They're here to speak based on their own experiences. They're here to speak in their own voice. They are not here to speak for the Cuban government.
Why is it important that students hear about the Cuban Revolution and everything that you're doing and how you all are living?
Porque es importante que los estudiantes oigan de la revolución cubana y de todo lo que ustedes están haciendo ahorita.
Bueno, es importante porque lo principal que puede tener una persona es no criticar algo que no conoce.
It's important because one can't critique something they're not familiar with.
Y cuando uno conoce cómo funciona cualquier cosa, así sea el sistema más pequeño, puede hacer todas las críticas que sean posibles, porque las críticas ayudan a mejorar.
Then when you get to know even to the most minute function, one can understand how the system works and then be able to critique it.
Sobre las relaciones raciales en Cuba en estos momentos.
About the racial relations in Cuba at this moment.
Bueno, en Cuba prácticamente un 55% de la población somos entre negros y mestizos. Y mestizos.
About 50% of Cuba's population are black.
And for those who don't know, what is the role of race in Cuba currently?
Well, that's a very loaded question. But when you look at the Cubans who left Cuba and aligned with the United States and very conservative policies, a lot of them tend to be white, whereas the people who are in Cuba who are still in the revolution are of indigenous or African descent. So race is a very big factor that needs to be discussed. A lot of people try not to discuss it and make it seem like it's a national issue, but there's also issues of race, class, that there's so much that's involved in this type of discussion.
What emotion does that invoke in you that the U.S. feels they have the right to, stop communication?
¿Cómo se siente por el embargo y el hecho de que los Estados Unidos pueden bloquear actividad económica?
Bueno, nosotros hemos logrado sobrevivir estos 50 años con el bloqueo económico y ha sido lo que no ha permitido más desarrollo económico en Cuba, pero no nos ha dejado de ser solidarios y humanistas con el resto del mundo.
We have remained to have solidarity like other countries in the world, and we have survived it for the last 50 years.
So one of the most important things to get away was to not see Cuba as this island that's so different or distinct from the realities of African people outside of Cuba who have been fighting for very much the same similar issues: a struggle against racism, struggles against colonialism, struggles against neocolonialism, economic discrimination. Those are the same kind of struggles that folks have had to fight in Cuba as they fought across the world.
What type of revolution would you like to see?
The type of revolution that I would like to see in the United States, there's many I could name, But I would like the youth to empower themselves, to educate themselves, to not accept what they're taught, not accept what they're told, be curious, read about things, teach themselves, come to their own conclusions, not live under the shadow of their parents or the institution or the media or music, and, you know, come to their own conclusions, think with their own minds.
All right, and this is Alyssa McClendon with Paradise Exit. After leaving Cuba Today, a discussion with real Cuban students talking about their revolution that can hopefully spark a change in ours.